The college football experience, Washington Huskies 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their brand new Pick 8. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football action and college basketball. Dog days of summer right now, playing MLB and CFL all the time, but check it all out, folks. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is loaded up with a ton of picks for the British Open. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Washington Huskies 2024 season preview episode. Oh, what a year it was a season ago as the Huskies went to the college football invitational, the 4-team invitational, beat the Texas Longhorns, never even trailed in that game. And then lost to the Michigan Wolverines in the national championship. But quite the year just 2 years ago. Prior to that, they were losing to FCS teams at home. So Kalen DeBauer came in and just started kicking ass. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hop on over there, subscribe, hit that like button, because we're kicking ass as we break down all 134 teams in the land with a solo podcast for every single team in the land. Big time year though, obviously. And we're going to see what happens. The dawn of a new day in Seattle. And from a conference perspective, from a coaching perspective, we're going to talk all about it. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I mean, this is a big time program. Go back to, I don't know, they were undefeated in 1916. They were undefeated in 1914. One loss season at 23. One loss season at 25. One loss season at 34. I mean, one loss season at 43. They've just been dominating. One of the more low key, even in the 50s, 10-1 season, won the Rose Bowl. 1960, 10-1 season, won the Rose Bowl. It doesn't matter. Only a one loss season in 62. You go through it all.
How many decades, in the last 100 years, they haven't at least squeaked out one 10-win season. I think,
back then they only played 11 games.
Yeah.
Don James obviously got that thing really rolling. Won the national championship. What was that? 91
How many years was he there? Yeah,
won the national championship in 91 and 80. And I think had we had a 14 playoff, you could have argued in 84 could have won it there. They were 11-1.
3 straight Rose Bowl berths in to start the 90s.
And I'll be honest, Neuheisel, in my opinion, that 2000 team might have won the national championship had we had a playoff. Oh,
they were good. I mean, those 90s teams were no joke, like throttling Miami.
In Miami, they went to Miami and whooped their ass. And obviously Chris Peterson got him to the playoffs with Jonathan Smith, and Jeff Tedford was on that staff. I just interviewed Jeff Tedford the other day, and I know he just retired. Want to wish him the best. But Jeff Tedford was the guy that kind of was responsible for Kayla DeBauer in a way. Brought him up from Sioux Falls to Fresno State, and then Indiana hired him away, and then Washington then grabbed him. So it has been fun. We're going to talk all about it, folks. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C, the place to be.
Hi,
Let's get it going.
Yeah, boy.
Oh wait, this is Seattle. I can play this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right there, as far as Seattle's concerned.
Yes. This was just a Seattle classic. I know they have Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Bosworth takes them all. Still waiting for him to get him to the Super Bowl, but Bosworth, that is. I mean, the Seahawks have had success. Buddy, what do you make of such a magical year? I mean, this is why. I mean, I know they made the 14 playoffs, so it technically worked for Washington in their favor. But when you really look at it, this is why every team should have a chance, because, I mean, not every single team, but Washington was that team. I think a lot of people didn't buy into them being that good. Whether it was
dogs in the Pac-12 championship game to a team they'd already beaten.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They were like, and then they played so many close games. I know there was the Arizona State game, a few other ones, but actually I think there were 7 or 8 games by one score. But they got it done. And Kayla DeBauer, that's the only bummer, is he leaves for Alabama.
He took over, and they were 4-8 under Jimmy Lake's,
and had lost to an
season.
FCS at home. And he goes what, 25-3? Good God.
Pretty good.
Well, what's crazy about that is, like, when I was talking to Tedford, who hired him at Fresno from Sioux Falls, Tedford was like, and go listen to that. That interview is out on the College Football Experience audio side. No visual there. But he was like, I was interested in him because at Sioux Falls, he went 67-3. And he goes, I don't care if you're coaching Pop Warner. He's like, you go 67-3, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah. So what's crazy is he's kind of on par for that. He's 25-3. In 2 years,
freaking nasty for a long time still.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, because unbelievable. Now I was bummed out to see him leave for Bama personally. I know Washington fans were too. But hey, you're entering, because 2 things happen at once. You're joining the Big Ten, which is just weird. I think it's horrible for the sport personally, but you do have this 12-team playoff. So a lot of those years, go back to the Peterson era, or even the year before, in the 12-team playoff, I think Washington was in. They were 11-2 the year before, right? So many of these years over the past 10 years.
In the end of the they were number 12 in the college football playoff final, so they would have squeaked into the playoff 2 years ago. But
still, I mean, I think they would have got in a couple of those ones with Peterson too, besides obviously 16.
Peterson would have had him in 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now they have that going, but now you have all this radical change too, where they're entering a conference that really doesn't.
Years is how many college play. If they can keep that, they'll be fine in the Big Ten. But yeah, it's a different ball game now.
Well, and they go out and hire Jedd Fisch. Now we'll talk about that because, but before I do that, I do want to say you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and you should check out the Sports Gambling Podcast because they're getting you ready for college football season as well with their conference previews. Tune in wherever you get your podcast or on the SGPN app, which you can get for free in the Google Play Store, or iTunes, wherever you can find apps essentially and podcasts. We're there. So check out that, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. Patty C, where are you at with the Jedd Fisch hire? Because I was surprised. I was surprised in many ways.
Go get someone, and he's done a pretty good job, in what 3 years.
You can't say, and he walked into a disaster. But and youtube.com/the college experience, you'll see these graphics that we have put up. His coaching tree is phenomenal, but he never stays anywhere for very long. But Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, Mike Shanahan, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Jim Moore, Steve Spurrier. He was just 17 and 22 in 3 years, though. Patty C.
Yeah, not that good. But I mean, if you think about the fact that he started 1-11 in year one and went 10-3 by year three, the trajectory was almost straight upwards. So
the reason why I'm weary is if you look at a season ago, I would love to see what would have happened had Noah Fafita not came in. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were starting Jaden Delora, and he gets knocked out of the game. They lost to a horrible Mississippi State team week 2, right?
Yeah.
When they made that move to Fafita, which I believe was
they kind of lucked into it.
That's what I'm saying. And you look back at that, they have a 1-point win against Stanford, right? A bad Stanford team. 3-point win against Oregon State, 3-point win against Colorado that everyone says was a bad team. I would have liked to seen Jedd Fisch sustain it. I don't know that he's a home run hire in many regards, but
Jedd Fisch could very easily be the Sonny Dykes, gets a quarterback injured, lucks into a much better quarterback, and has a great season.
Well, and if you don't know, Teto McMillan there and Noah Fafita have been playing since they were like 10 years old together. So that guy lit up college football, and Fafita came in and just balled out. But the continuity was there. That's why I question, like, how good will this work out? Now it might work out fine. He's got a great track record of big time coaches he's coached under, and he's got Steve Belichick on the staff. Love that. But
you gotta love that.
All I'm saying is, like, you lose DeBoer, which sucks. DeBoer goes to Alabama. That does suck. I'm bummed out for you there.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had Jedd Fisch at the very top of my list if you were putting me in charge of the coaching hires. That doesn't mean it's not going to work out. It worked out pretty fine at Arizona. I think they were very happy with him. Although I also think Arizona will be happier with Brent Brennan in the future.
You may be right. Although I think, if we're going to see how good Jedd Fisch is in Washington, if there's anyone that is probably used to starting new, and turning and implementing his stuff quickly and influencing a program on a short-term notice, it's probably Jedd Fisch, because he, like you said, doesn't stay very long, probably no more than 2 or 3 years at any stop in his entire coaching career, which is pretty long at this point. So, and then bringing along Brennan Carroll from Arizona. They had the number 20 offense in the country. I know we're going to get to that, but there's some continuity, at least on the offensive side of the ball, on the coaching staff. So I think that is helpful, and that might help them get up to speed.
And Steve Belichick running the defense, as I alluded to, it should be fascinating.
A lot of NFL. I mean, at least Brennan Carroll will have probably a longer leash among the folks in Seattle, just based on what his dad did there. So,
true.
They're not going to hate the coaching staff right away.
Well, looking back at the past 20 years, Petty, see, what is Washington? I do this with every team. It's not just Washington driven here. What's the worst loss on there? It's the Montana one, right? The FCS one with Jimmy Lake just 2 years ago, right? That's what's incredible. They were terrible 2 years ago.
Montana was terrible 2 years ago?
No. Washington was.
Washington was, yeah.
And Montana went in there and beat them. And then ever since that season, they're 25-3. So I tend to think that's the worst loss in the past 20 years. Or
that's
20,
not even that bad of a loss.
Montana's a really good FCS. Maybe Nevada. Maybe throw Nevada in there.
Maybe Nevada, depending on what year it was.
Yeah.
When did they lose now?
Yeah. Shout out to Paul, who said, who are the top 3 coaches who should have been hired over Fisch? Well, for me, like, I'd have to remember exactly what part of the hiring process that was? I want to say that was like early November, though.
I mean, if they were able to have a crack at anyone, I mean, it's a good question. Maybe you go out and get James Franklin. You're probably not pulling him from Penn State until he gets canned.
Well, you could have got Chip Kelly apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
But I would hire Chip Kelly before Jedd Fisch, but I don't think that Chip Kelly would be on my most wanted list either. Lance Leipold would have been number one to me. Lance Leipold, I think, would have been number one.
That would have been a great hire.
Chris Kleiman, which I actually think did interview for the job, but turned it down maybe.
Yeah,
Chris Kleiman would have been on that list.
Now, let me ask you this with Kleiman: was the infrastructure so solid at Kansas State that he kind of has just maintained it and not necessarily improved it? Whereas, Fisch has clearly in a few years improved. It's such a short track record that he has, but it's arguably more impressive than what Chris Kleiman's done. I would say it's not, but well, Kleiman's done it consistently. Fisch has just one winning season at Arizona. When the backup quarterback comes in, that's what I'm saying. It might have just been lightning in a bottle. Kleiman
in Arizona,
for how long at North Dakota State?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but a good chunk, like 4 or 5 years at least.
Several national championships in there. So,
but my point is like Sumlin did have Arizona at a very shitty level, but prior to that, you saw Rich Rodriguez take them to the Pac-12 championship a couple times. Stoops had some winning years there, and then Dick Tomey had some great years there.
Program if coached right.
So anyway, those are the worst losses there. Before I jump into the offense, I want to tell you folks out there that the Washington Huskies 2024 season preview episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy just launched their college football best ball product. First place wins $20,000 plus the higher lower pick 'em. Pick 8 allows you the opportunity to win 325 times the amount you enter. You can now use specials to boost on all flexed entries as well. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Folks, once again, they launched their college football best ball product, which we will be all over. Like I said, that going now, we're going to be highlighting that, but also CFL, MLB action going on, college football, college basketball forefront. They are the best at this stuff. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. I was just at Circa last week for Mountain West Media Days. I love hanging out, stadium swim, all that good stuff. You got to check out Circa. Circa Sports is back with their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. Yes, Circa Millions. You pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for the $6 million prize or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. If you don't have your trip booked for Vegas yet before football season kicks off, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go out. You can hang out with my pals, Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer of the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. All right, back on the college football experience here. And yes, look at that last season, Patty C.
Let me throw one more name as a coaching hire, just out of curiosity. Jeff Lebby or Jedd Fisch? Who do you go?
I'd go. I mean, I'm not. They both wouldn't be high on my list, but I think I would lean Lebby maybe.
Yeah, just because he's shown what he can do.
But I still think like I would have called Chris Peterson and see if he wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But he did resign from there, so I mean maybe he doesn't want to. But I would have called Leipold. Would have called Kleiman.
Shoot, Jeff Tedford, if it was presumed that he was gonna still be coaching.
Yeah, exactly. Tedford, I think, would have done amazing at Washington. Jonathan Smith, but I know he was already gone. I think that would be one because he has ties to Washington. Was there their playoff run? Yeah. I think he was already accepted the Michigan State job by there. That's why it's a tough question. You have to go back and look at where the chess pieces had gone. But it sounds crazy. I would have interviewed Troy Calhoun. I think he's a really good football coach. And a lot of people think that he only does triple option. He was with the Denver Broncos in the NFL. So
Montalolo is running the
air raid.
Air raid.
Yeah.
So the triple option can do different things out there.
I think Troy Calhoun's a really good coach, and I think that I would have interviewed him as well. Last season, Patty C, they had 10 players drafted. They played in the national championship with 0 5-star recruits. They beat Texas, never trailed the game with 0 5-star recruits. Patty C.
Even though that game came down to the last play, it shouldn't have. They were very comfortably the better team there.
I mean, almost every pass that Penix threw was like a 40-yard pass.
Yeah, and that was with Dylan Johnson kind of injured up.
Yeah. And Dylan Johnson, by the way, didn't even get drafted. He's on the Tennessee Titans, but maybe that injury was related to him not being drafted. But that's this sheet that you're seeing right here on YouTube.com/The College Experience doesn't even have Dylan Johnson's name on there.
Crazy. 10 total draft picks, 7 in the first 3 rounds.
And that is called player development, buddy. Exhibit A on perhaps recruiting rankings being a little overrated.
Touche.
But all those guys are gone. Best wishes with them. But last season, the offense, Patty C. Kalen DeBoer, 13th in the nation in scoring per game, 36 points per game, 3rd in the Pac-12. 12th best in yards in the nation, 3rd in the Pac-12. 2nd best in passing, 2nd best in the Pac-12. 104th in rushing, 9th best in the Pac-12. They were not first place in their conference in any of these stats, but yet played in the national championship game. Remarkable, right?
Yeah. I mean, and look, you're 104th in the nation in rushing, but you have essentially a 1,200-yard back. It's not like they couldn't run the ball. Their rushing game was impressive when they used it. They were just a pass happy team, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm going to get numbers on that momentarily, but I would assume that their attempts per game were among the higher in the nation.
Now, the bad news is I normally follow this page up with returning starters. They have 0.
Number 12 in the nation in attempts per game. 0 returning starters on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, 1 on defense, but so 1 returning starter on their whole roster. That's concerning. But they did. Let's talk about the portal, because they lost DeMarcus Davis to UCLA and Austin Mack to Alabama. The Austin Mack one's critical because I feel like I had heard rumors that he was really going to be really good. William Haskell, another quarterback, heads to Portland State. Dylan Morris heads out to James Madison with the Dukes.
Boom. He was their number 2 passer.
Yeah, Camden Stiegler as well hitting the portal. And then the running back Will Nixon heads out to Syracuse. It was with Fran Brown there. The wide receivers, Jeremy Bernard to Alabama was critical, man. And how about Tayshawn Lyons to Utah? Jake Pardigan goes to Fresno State with Tedford. Tight end Josh Cuevas to Alabama as well. Trey Watson to A&M. Griffin Wyas to Stanford. They just got completely raided here. Their whole offensive line too. Then these are their backups, because remember
losing they had 3 guys to Alabama usually means you're in a lot of trouble. But it makes sense with DeBoer obviously bringing his guys with him.
Well, remember they got the award for best offensive line in the country too. And they had players drafted. I think it was 3 guys are back. Well, and then the depth, the backups left. The depth, Alabama, Ole Miss came in and swiped some. Arizona State, Oklahoma getting in there. So the offense is completely depleted. Now they go out. Now here's what's tough for Will Rogers, former Mississippi State head coach, Mike Leach recruit, and I feel sorry for him.
Quarterback.
What did I say? Head coach?
Head coach. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I meant to say quarterback, but I felt bad because obviously he is a guy that was doing really good. His progress was really good, and Mike Leach dies. And then you have a radical shift in your offense. Rest in peace to our friend Coach Leach. Has been on the show a bunch of times, but
8,600 passing yards in 2 seasons, 71 touchdowns to just 17 interceptions in 21 and 22. And then, like you said, or about to say, things got worse last year.
What was that? That ditches the air raid. It was a disaster season in Starkville, with the exception of beating Jedd Fisch. But then he commits to Washington with Kalen DeBoer. So he committed to Washington, which, I mean, he still could have transferred, but he stuck it out. You bring him in, but it just seems like, man, I don't know who the hell's blocking for you. They did bring in, though, a bunch of players. Obviously, they brought in, and I think the big one here is Jonah Coleman, who was a star running back for Arizona a season ago. Now the problem is, and they brought in a lot of players from Arizona. So they brought in 6 guys. I'm seeing just right there on this sheet right here, and Trey Watson is a sneaky get from Fresno. I like the Jeremiah Hunter get too from Cal, but I just don't know that anyone's going to be blocking for you. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'll tell you what, playing in the air raid, where the name of the game and having that experience, the name of the game is getting the ball out quick. Jedd Fisch did throw the ball quite a bit last year as well. I want to say they're number 23 in attempts per game, Arizona. So at least they'll have the chance to throw the ball. And if they can get the quick game working, maybe that neutralizes the fact that they have no offensive line here. Yeah. I'm a skeptic of them just because it's so many. And I watched, I made a mistake of seeing the spring game there. They did get, but even Vamahi, they get him from Ohio State on the O-line, but I was just doing the Ohio State pod, had their guys on, and he was very disappointing at Ohio State. But, maybe, a change of scenery is needed, but the offensive line, they're taking everybody. I heard, like they're just trying to grab anybody. I'm a skeptic. I think the offense will be lackluster, especially, remember, the Big Ten has so many good defenses. So, yeah. But again, we talked about this on another podcast, and I think this remains to be seen. Is the Big Ten isn't used to offenses like Washington had last year. Again, none of the people are back.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know that this year is even going to qualify for that offense or comparing it to that.
I just wonder if there's maybe something cultural about it. I don't think so. But Jedd Fisch certainly, I think, probably has a more technical offense than most of the Big Ten runs. So I think it'll still be fine from a X's and O's standpoint, whether the talent is there or the experience or the continuity, whatever, cohesion, chemistry. I don't know if any of those things are going to be there. So yeah, I assume it's going to struggle a little bit. I don't think it's going to bottom out completely, though, the offense.
We're going to talk about the defense in a second here, but I want to tell you that the college football experience Washington Huskies season preview is brought to you by Rhythm. The British Open is this week, and if you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, well, you're missing out. Not just outright winners. They got picks for top 5, top 10, top 20. Use their AI caddy to get some great data insights. You can even customize your own golf betting model using the tools that Rhythm provides. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, back talking Husky football. Love sailgating. I got to get up there to Seattle and sailgate. All right, been wanting to do it. Love that stadium. Jackie Robinson played in that stadium, Patty C.
Is that right?
Love the history of college football.
That is
the defense, Patty C, last year, 54th in the nation in scoring, giving up just 24.8 points per game. That was 6th best in the Pac-12. They were 96th, though, in yards given up, which is kind of remarkable. They gave up bend but don't break.
Yeah, apparently. Well, against that kind of, the number of vaunted offenses that they faced in the Pac-12, that's probably the best strategy. And that's probably a good thing is, you got to give up space, and you're going to get picked apart by all the great quarterbacks in the Pac-12. But if you can stop them when the field gets short, then you're a pretty good defense in the Pac-12.
Yeah. 117th pass defense, though. Ironically, they were the ones, like, Texas didn't really exploit their past defenses like Washington exploited theirs. 8th best in the Pac-12. They were also 58th in the nation against the run. That was 8th best in the Pac-12 as well. The defense, as I mentioned, normally I do all this homework. They bring back Alfonso Tupatala, the linebacker, but that's their only guy back on this whole damn team. They in the portal, they lost, a lot of their guys went to the NFL, I feel like, but the big ones here, I think, are Jabbar Muhammad, who's a stud going to Oregon.
Carson Bruner is expected to return, right? He's on the depth chart as a returning starter. I think he was 3rd on the team in tackles at the linebacker position with 86. Our lads is showing. Well, I don't actually know how many returning starters do they have.
How many starts did he have last season? Because I think he got on the field a lot, but I don't think he started for them.
Gotcha.
I mean, all that shit is subjective anyway. I mean, if you started 3 games, 5 games, are you a returning starter? But
there's certainly a little more experience on defense from a production standpoint. I don't know about whether it's starters, but that's not really saying much since there's nothing on offense.
Yeah, and like I said, like getting hit, like Asa Turner going to Florida, Powell going to Miami, even Devon Banks to Boise and Jabbar Muhammad. Those are critical losses, man.
Jabbar Muhammad's like a top 50 player in the country.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Those are critical losses. Now they did go out and get some guys. I think the big one here for them, out of all of these, would be. And I think what Asa Turner. I think I fucked that up, but I think the biggest one there is guys like Ethan Barr that might be starting for them coming over from Vandy. I don't know, man. Justin Harrington coming in from Oklahoma.
4 sacks last year for Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, just having how many 3 Arizona guys coming?
Well, Price coming over from Arizona too. But remember, Steve Belichick wasn't running the defense last year at Arizona. He was with the Patriots.
That's true.
So, I don't know, man. This is one of the harder teams, but I feel pretty good about the fact that they're going to probably struggle this year. It's just too many new people. And I also think with that, I don't know if he's that good of a head coach. So you mix all of that together. I think you have quite the season here. Their win total is at 6.5, -10 both ways. Even Vegas is like, I don't know, 6-6, 7-5, something like that.
Yeah.
To win the Big Ten championship, to make the 12-team playoff +900, to not make it -1800, you might as well load up on that -1800. Let's go.
I mean, we have a pretty small, like, this is almost an anomaly all time as far as like a team that was a national champion the year before losing their entire starting offense and their head coach.
Well, in the national championship,
not in the national championship. Like there's like a small sample size on being able to determine how well a team that has this much change, handles the transition. Because no team ever has this much change going on. I don't know. I think, and
they're joining a conference that is foreign to them in a way.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, common knowledge would tell you that they're going to struggle, but maybe there's something culturally that DeBoer input there that is going to carry over.
Even though I don't even know how many players are DeBoer players on this roster.
Yeah.
The schedule, Patty C. First off, 6.5 is the win total. Would you blindly lean over there or under?
Under, but barely.
Yeah, I think I would too. Week 1, Weber State Wildcats come to town. Not a horrible FCS, by the way. I got them winning this, but if Montana beat you 2 years ago,
sure.
Weber's like second tier, but they're still a good FCS program
in Seattle, Washington. But great time to get them if you're Weber State.
Probably the best time to get them.
Yeah.
Week 2, Chris Creighton and Eastern Michigan come to town. Patty C. Eastern Michigan has wins at Rutgers, at Illinois, at Purdue, at Minnesota, and at Arizona State under Chris Creighton. Watch out for this game because it's the lead up to the Apple Cup too.
Yeah, great spot to catch them in there too. I would say Washington, especially the Washington of the past couple of years, would be the biggest win that Creighton's had from a program cachet standpoint. But look, they could do it. Those teams you mentioned aren't that far behind where we think Washington will be this year.
Yeah, I'll still say they get it done, and they're 2-0. But watch out. The Apple Cup is at Lumen Field this year. I have Washington State beating them. I think Washington State's a better football team right now. Washington State returns their entire offensive line. Yeah, I really do. They almost beat them last year. You remember that game? That's one of the ones. 21. Yeah, I think Washington State's gonna beat them there. I really do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's talk about this for a second. The Apple Cup needs to be the final game of the fucking season.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Ten, if the ACC can do this, and the SEC with South Carolina and Clemson, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky, Florida State, figure a way to get this fucking thing done. The
rivalry week does not have to be in conference.
It's bullshit too. Throw this week 3. I mean, look, it happens to be in Washington State's best interest for this, but it should always be the final game of the season.
I am sure that this is network money being thrown at it, and they're making the transition at the same time Oregon is. So, in an effort to show whatever cohesion there, they're just going to have them play against each other as their new end of season rival. But hopefully, it doesn't stay for long.
Yeah. I got a message for those networks.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, tailless pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Amen.
The Civil War and the Apple Cup should be the final week of the season.
Absolutely.
Every rivalry, Colorado, Nebraska, the backyard brawl. But that shit. Thank you, Texas A&M for knowing that, by the way. But they need to figure that out. I got Washington State beating them though. I got them 2-1, and then the Northwestern Wildcats come to town. I think this is a pivotal game for their win total because I got them beating Northwestern, but I don't feel that good about it. You?
I feel a little better than I do against Wazoo, but not. I mean, I don't feel amazing about it. But Northwestern was 8-5 last year. Granted, it's in Seattle. But still, it's not a terrible team they're playing against here. They could easily lose this game. Yeah. That said, I think 1-1 in that 2-game stretch is probably pretty safe.
Yeah,
so I feel 3-1 out the gate.
3-1 out the gate. Then they head to Piscataway, which I have them losing this game. So I got to move to 3-2. How about you, Petty C?
I'm with you, but I'm going to say there's part of me that thinks we're lowballing them here, so I may give them a win they don't deserve later on. But
Rutgers was a bowl team last year.
I agree, and that's a long trip. So I think 2-3 is what they will start. Or no, 3-2 rather. 3-2.
Yeah, I got them 3-2. Then they host Michigan 3-3.
Yep.
Then they head to Iowa City. They're going to get fucked up at Iowa City. 3-4. 3-4.
You better have a really dynamic, sharp, electric offense if you're going to challenge Iowa and Iowa City, and they will not by this point in the season. So Iowa
Will Rogers will throw 3 interceptions minimum in that game. They get a bye week on October 19th, then they head to Bloomington on the 26th. Patty C, I got Indiana winning this game.
See, I feel like that's a mild disrespect to the Washington over the past 2 years, but again, entirely new team. There is a chance Indiana steals this game, but if we're having them lose at Rutgers, I'm not having them lose at Rutgers and at Indiana. So I'm going to give them another win here.
I just think Indiana's a better roster right now when you look at it.
Fair.
It's like Signetti comes in with basically the entire JMU team. They add Curtis Rourke, who's like a super experienced quarterback. I think Indiana's better. Then they are home to USC. They could get this one. It's a sneaky game because I feel like,
man,
I'll say this: between USC and UCLA, they get 1.
That's fair. Although I feel like USC will be significantly better than they are. I just think they'll be better than UCLA. So I agree with you, but I think it's going to be the UCLA game that they get. And I think
college football never goes that exact though. I feel
it's true, but I think USC is primed for an improvement of a year.
I agree, but I still going to Seattle is always a tough spot for them. At Penn State in the middle of sandwich between there, that's a loss, and then they get a bye week on the 23rd before they head to Eugene. They've lost they've beat Oregon the past 2 years, but that was DeBoer. Good luck, Fish, because I got them.
Those were some close games.
Patty C, I actually got this I got them at 4-8, man, and I think there's a chance they're 3-9.
What did I have them? I have them beaten Weber State, Eastern Michigan, Northwestern, Indiana, which would be 4, and then UCLA. I got them at 5-7.
I mean, the once again, folks, the win total is 6.5. I think you might be hearing this on the Locks Pod because there's a chance that Eastern Michigan or Northwestern bites them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a hard schedule, man.
There's so many question marks.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like this is a pretty safe play.
I would agree with you. Quarterback Will Rogers. Do you think, obviously, he's probably somewhat of a product of the system in the air raid? Do you think he'll approach, those good numbers for that 2-year period? His sophomore and junior year, he was hovering just over 71% completion percentage. But again, a lot of that is the short, quick passing game of the air raid. He may have a tough year ahead of him unless things get going really quick.
Well, and if you think about the defenses they play, Oregon, really good defense. Penn State, really good defense. Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, all good defensive teams.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It might be tough sledding.
I will hammer the under. I think you're going to hear this on the Locks Pod. I feel pretty damn good about it.
Me too.
They're this year's TCU, but I actually think even like TCU's roster was in better shape than this roster.
Yes, 100%.
Best case scenario. Let's build best case scenario here.
Okay.
Best case scenario. They win. They upset I don't know about upset. They win the Apple Cup. They're 4-0. They beat Rutgers 5-0. Indiana, UCLA 7-5 is their ceiling, right?
Indiana, UCLA, probably 7-5 is their ceiling.
I think they're for the floor though. I think there's a chance for like 2-10.
Wazoo, Northwestern, Rutgers, Indiana, and UCLA all get them. Nah, they're getting at least 3.
I think the floor is 2-10. So I'm gonna say I'm on the under. I feel pretty fucking good about it. Patty C's on the under. Folks, give Patty C a follow on Twitter at Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Go listen to that Jeff Tedford interview that just dropped. Want to wish him the best. Obviously, he got Washington to the playoffs. He was a factor. He was a factor on that team. But yeah, I think it's a tough year. But I mean, you went to the national championship last year. I'm not gonna feel that sorry for you. Long term, Patty C, how do you think they'll do in the Big Ten?
I think they're quality. I mean, Washington has always been a bit of a mystery to me, but I guess there is a lot of talent up in that Seattle area to pick from, and they have first choice at it. So as long as they're able to snag that for themselves, they're going to be competitive.
Yeah, I wonder if these teams jump back. I don't know. I wonder long term if it just makes more sense. Everything goes in a cycle. But either way, I think it's you're looking at a tough year, Husky fans.
It's easy to see a tide turn
in your first year in the Big Ten. We'll see. And yeah, let me look at that quickly. I know that everything can change, moving forward.
Cincinnati is probably the better comparison, in terms of new conference, new coach, lots of talent out the door. Granted, it wasn't 1 year removed from their playoff berth. It was 2 years removed, but Fickle was kind of already out the door mentally during that last year. So they still were a decent program there. And I think Washington, it's just going to be a struggling year where they're going to be close in a lot of games, but they're just not going to get the wins.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about the Big Ten is they've released like their opponents the following year. it does. I mean, it doesn't get that much easier. Like next year, it's at Michigan, home to Ohio State, home to Oregon, at Wisconsin, at Washington State. I don't know, man. I don't know that these moves are all going to make sense. I know that short term, maybe for Oregon this year, maybe for USC 1 year, maybe Washington 1 year, but I don't know long term. I bet you, I don't know how long this takes, 40, 50 years. Maybe this thing goes in reverse, but I don't know what the hell I'm talking about really, but I just feel like, does this make
with how
sense?
fast things are moving now, we could have a brand new power conference on the West Coast in, a decade, and Washington can say, hey, you know what? I want back out West.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a forever thing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it takes 100 years. I don't know. We'll be dead, but it's going to be interesting to watch. I prefer it in the Pac-12 personally. I don't think you ever talk to a fan that's actually excited about this? Matt, I was at, the media days out there in Vegas.
There are certain butt munches that I feel like are excited about this.
I feel like not any real college football fan is like happy about this. Like I maybe someone that just casually watches college football. I don't know, but anyway, I beat a dead horse here. It'll be interesting to see all this stuff, folks. Check out we're breaking out all 134 teams. If you're a Washington State fan, we got that one coming. If you're an Oregon State fan, the Pac-2 still existing. Let's go. Those previews are all coming. This concludes the Big Ten. Every single Big Ten school is out, available for you to check out. Go check it out. Also, the entire Mountain West is out there, the entire SEC. So go check those out as we turn the page into the Big 12. As we continue on this journey that we do every single year on the college football experience. So youtube.com/the college football experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, folks, this is the Washington Huskies 2024 season preview episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot.